Yeah, sorry about that. I just had someone at the door. It's the next door neighbor. Got a little bit distracted. So coming back to resume the lesson, where was I? So what was I saying? Yeah, we're a special people under the Heavenly Father, and we can defeat Esau through the Spirit. But when it comes to carnal means, Esau has the upper hand over us. But thankfully, the the requirements of winning this battle aren't based upon carnality. It's based upon spirituality. Second Corinthians 10 verse 4 says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach." So let's go back to this article with this Jake military commander who was fired for speaking out against Trump's use of the military. See, because the thing about Jake is that Jake always tends to have a sort of even though they're in the world, they've got a level of uprightness to them for the most part. Even though they might not be in the truth, there's some kind of sense of justice in a Jake's mind. So obviously, what was going down with the military under Trump wasn't sitting well with this Jake, so he couldn't sit in silence. He had to speak out against it, and in speaking out against it, it's cost him his job. So it says the former US general, whom Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired last year, criticized the use of military for political missions in an op-ed published Friday, pointing to the Trump administration's deployment of troops to clamp down on crime in major cities. When presidents use the armed forces for more politically contentious missions, such as addressing domestic crime in cities, the work of the military becomes more fraught. Former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, Charles Q. Brown, wrote in Foreign Affairs, along with two other authors, Duke political science professor Peter Fever and North Carolina lawyer Andrew Craigie. Resorting to a military solution rather than fixing the underlying incapacity or dysfunction in civilian institutions diverts the military from focusing on its primary combat mission, the authors continued, and it is not the military's job to save the Republic from political impasses. Indeed, if you ask too much of the military, you risk the entire enterprise. See, this is a good point because Esau's going to be brought down because he's stretched himself too thin. He's thought he can rule the world via the force of the sword, by the edge of the sword, and he's going to come to realize that it's not possible. Everything he's built is going to collapse and fall. Brown, a retired Air Force general and the second black man to serve as America's most senior general, was fired in February 2025, along with Admiral Lisa Franchetti, who was the then Chief of the Navy and the first woman to serve on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The move came as the administration had banned diversity and inclusion efforts across the military and government more generally. At the Aspen Ideas Festival last week, Brown also expressed concerns over the administration's firings of Pentagon officials, saying what's starting to happen now is not about merit. There you go. See, in Esau's world, merit doesn't really matter much. It's all about whose ass you're kissing, whose back you can scratch, and whose secrets you can keep. You know, in a lot of Esau's institutions, it's very rarely about merit. Merit is very rarely rewarded. That is why incompetence often gets rewarded. Incompetence. What's the other word? I can't think of the other word to use. Incompetence will have to do, but yeah, incompetence is often rewarded in Esau society. competence is often seen as a threat. Like if you're competent in your job and you know what you're doing and you're very skilled at it, but you're working underneath someone who's incompetent, which 9 times out of 10 will be the case, guess what? Your ass is going to be the crosshairs because your competence becomes a threat to the person above you who is incompetent because they're afraid that you're going to expose them through your, just via your presence. Just you being there is a threat to the person above you who is incompetent. So again, in such situations, is merit rewarded? No. Merit is something that will get your ass on the chopping block because guess what? You're threatening someone else's position, whether intentionally or not. That's the way they perceive it. And if they perceive you as a threat, they'll treat you as an enemy. Whether you're an enemy or not. Friend or foe, it doesn't matter. If you make someone feel uncomfortable, that's all it takes in a lot of cases to be singled out. So let's read on. At the Aspen Ideas Festival last week, Brown also expressed concerns over the administration's firing of Pentagon officials, saying what is starting to happen now is not about merit. It is important that we understand that all these people that are being removed are very well experienced, and my concern is that the impact it has on those that are still continuing to serve. Brown said, are they going to have a fair opportunity to advance their careers going forth? The Foreign Affairs article did not directly criticize President Donald Trump or anyone in the current government. In one sentence, the author mentioned both Trump and former President Joe Biden as having looked to the military to play a leading role in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. But it referred to certain actions carried out by the Trump administration. Since Trump's return to office has expanded the use of the military with the help of Hexef. Last year, the administration deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to crack down on crime in major cities, including Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles. Yeah, this is just a sign of the times, the beginning of greater things to come. On Thursday, Hexef touted the work of the National Guard in Washington amid protesters whom he called ingrates. They can't see the law and order that common sense. They can't see law and order and common sense in front of them. That there's nothing ideological about this group. There's nothing political about this exercise, Hexef said. Law and order is something all Americans deserve. In the op-ed published Friday, Brown and his co-authors addressed the ongoing celebrations for America's 250th anniversary and what it means to be patriotic. Patriotism means recognizing the promise of the American founding, the progress of its past, and the potential of a shared future, the authors wrote. Yes, this Jake's lost in the sauce, essentially. He's there thinking there's some future in America. He believes in democracy. He believes in, the Constitution and the American way and all that. It's just lost in the sauce. If he had any sense, he'd give up all this shit and return to his true source of his power, which is Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Let me just get a quick precept before I read on. A good precept for this general would be this. Micah chapter 2 and verse 10, which says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. Yeah, so believing in America, believing in Babylon the Great, believing in truth, justice, and the American way, as they used to say, that's only going to get your ass into trouble. Because by believing in America and supporting America, guess what? You're going to be destroyed with America when it inevitably goes down. So maybe this firing was a warning shot from the Heavenly Father for this Jake to wake up and come to his senses, but somehow I don't think it's going to happen. Because when you go so deep into Esau's world, when you get those accolades and those commendations, it's very hard to walk away from that stuff, because that becomes your life, your reputation, what people know you for. A lot of people find it hard to give up something that they've spent years working for to forsake that, give it all up to seek Yahweh Shai. A lot of men have a hard time doing that. Let me get another precept here. This is Matthew chapter 19, starting at verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration and in the reincarnation, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. The many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Yeah, so men that have forsaken all and followed Yahweh Shai, if they're of the hopeful elect, they're going to sit upon 12 thrones. Along with it's the disciples, the apostles, who are going to sit on those 12 thrones, but the rest of the elect, the 144,000, will be underneath those, in ranking, underneath the 12 disciples and Yahweh and King David, but they're going to also have a part in the government of the nation of Israel, which is going to govern all the earth, judging the nations. That's going to be their portion, for having forsaken all and followed Yahweh Shai. But not a lot of men can do that, because again, giving up your life for the Lord's sake, that takes a lot of faith. And what do the scriptures say? Without faith it is impossible to please him. And what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So let's just finish this off here. Not much more to go. Yeah, just finished actually. Service to a cause greater than oneself, a virtue cultivated in military training, is accessible to all, regardless of whether they wear the uniform. They continued, in ways big and small. Americans can recognize this milestone of 250 years as a moment to rejuvenate the nation, the national independence that our founders proclaimed, along with independence. Yeah, this guy's lost in the sauce. He's believing that America's going to last forever. America ain't going to last forever. America's done. America's going to be burnt utterly with fire, pertaining to Revelation 18th chapter. So if this Jake had any sense, he'd understand that his firing was pretty much a warning shot for him to wake up and come to his senses. But again, someone who's so deeply entrenched in their belief in an ideal, really it's like a false doctrine or an ideology, a false belief system. He's caught up in that, and unfortunately it's looking like he's going to get destroyed with it. All of that service to Esau, it's not going to profit you in the day of wrath. You'd have been better off serving Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. So let this be a cautionary tale for others who may attempt to follow in this man's footsteps. Because at the end of the day, as I said, you could give your whole life, dedicate your whole life to Esau, but guess what? As soon as it benefits him, he's going to throw your ass under the bus. You don't give a damn whether you fought for your country. You don't give a damn whether you spent 30 or 40 years in your career working to advance his agendas. As soon as you no longer become profitable to Esau, he's going to cast you aside, because that's Esau's nature. So yeah, man, I just want to speak on that for a little bit. We're coming to the end of this thing, and yeah, it's not the best time to be in Esau's military, trying to be G.I. Jake. That's not an advisable career path for anybody who's hoping to receive salvation. So yeah, with that, I want to once again give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles of great most and all well, and shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved, and I will catch on the next, Lord willing. Shalom for now.